Am I the a-hole for not keeping my ex-wife's stuff for over 2 years while she figured it out? Original post. So me and my ex-wife were married for a little over a year when she came home from a girl's trip and decided she didn't want to be married anymore. Wouldn't really give me a reason for this, didn't want to discuss it unless it was with a therapist, which I didn't want to do unless she told me first because I didn't want to be blindsided by something with a stranger present. Long story short, I could have been a better husband, she could have been a better wife. But we separated, divorced, and that was fall of 21. Fast forward to now, we've had very minimal contact, for taxes or mail, stuff like that, but have been very civil with each other. So this past summer, I hadn't heard from her for months, and wanted to clean out my garage. Some totes of clothes and decorations that I'll never use. So, away it went to the trash or donated. Now, when we first separated, I gave her plenty of time and opportunity to remove her items from the house. Anything that wasn't blanketly mine, like my PC or guns or stuff like that. I honestly just wanted her out of my life, so I told her to take whatever she wanted. Even leaving the locks unchanged for a whole year after divorcing, because up till then her name was still on the deed to the home. I guess she moved away after the divorce to another state? I'm unsure, as I just didn't ask, I didn't care. So recently she texts me and said she would be in town and asked if she could come get her stuff and remove some of the household items, as well as like a gas grill and a table. Items we got when we were together and have been left with me and used by me for the past 2 years and the items that I've gotten rid of. So am I the a-hole for just telling her no? I don't want to be mean about it, but it's been 2 years since we divorced. How long was I supposed to hang on to this stuff? She never asked me to hang on to it for her. Plus the common house items that I've been using. Am I just supposed to let her have those and buy new stuff? I'm very confused about what she expected after 2 years of being divorced. Edit. There was a previously discussed time for her to get her stuff. I'm going through text messages trying to figure out what to tell her. It was last Christmas, and she never showed up because she said she got caught up with family and had to fly to New York for the New Year's party. That was also the last time we spoke till now. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not a-hole, she is. Nope, she had 2 years to get her stuff. If you had kept everything, I would have told her there was a storage charge. Tell her since she did not contact you earlier, you assumed she had moved and left everything behind. Solid no to her getting anything at this point. Property abandoned at your home is kept for you to decide on. Statute of limitations for stuff from an ex is like 2 months at best. 2 years is just unreasonable. Yep, this. My ex only had 21 days in our state to get his stuff. I was nice and kept it for 6 months, and then donated it all. Except the Xbox, I kept that. Not the a-hole. She most likely cheated on that girl's trip. Awfully coincidental how after an entire year suddenly she wants to end a marriage, directly after coming home from a trip with the girls. As for the stuff, you're not her personal U-Haul. Sounds like you dodged a bullet, Opie. She most likely cheated on that girl's trip. Glad I'm not the only one thinking this. How long was she going to wait before realizing she wanted the stuff Opie was holding on to? Most people have a rule. If I haven't used it in a year, I don't need it. And now she wants a gas grill and a damn table? Is Opie supposed to eat on his damn knees? Hell no. She can buy that stuff herself, like she thinks Opie should. Not the a-hole. She probably just broke up with the next guy and needs to furnish a new place. That's exactly what I was thinking. Why does she need his stuff now of all times? 90% likely to be furnishing a new apartment or house. Either that, or 10% likely she needs to bring something to the table in her new live-in situation, even if that is a table. Now for the mini update. I told her stuff was gone several months ago, since she didn't contact me to get it after so much time had passed. I do have one item that I'll return to her because it was her family's, and I didn't know it was left here. No response thus far. Legally, I'm fine. I talked to my attorney. Morally, I feel bad, but it is what it is. I truly figured she'd moved on, so she didn't want the stuff. Speculation about the divorce. I don't know why she left, and I don't care at this point. Chalked it up to things don't always work out. Why didn't I go to therapy? No, I didn't mistreat her. I just wanted to know if I needed to get checked for an STI. She had already made her mind up about the divorce. I didn't see a need to talk about it and hear about all the ways I've failed as a husband. I felt bad enough at the time, and it wasn't going to change her mind in leaving, so I do it. Next story. I left my husband. He tried to end himself, but the attempts made me laugh, and everyone's calling me an a-hole for it. Am I? The relationship has been consistently bad. I really tried to make things work. He didn't, and it was bad. It got to the point it was so bad it's hard to even explain to you guys. Not just cheating, but obsessive and possessive behavior to me and the women he was cheating on me with. To the point he had been served 3 restraining orders. I felt trapped. He'd destroy my purse, throw my keys into a nearby pond. He would destroy my phone when I'd try to leave. I'd walk miles to get away from him to my parents' house in a dark country road, and he'd barrel down in his car trying to hit me to protect me. Because there are coyotes and bobcats and dangerous people out there, and told me and the police that he was trying to hit me to immobilize me, so I'd have to get into the car and be safe. Yeah, it was bad. Well, at one point, I had finally planned and started executing my escape. I had my things packed and moved. I coordinated a place to stay. I had to do it all fast while he was at work. But he knew and showed up. Later found out he had secret cameras all over the house to monitor me. He fought me, physically, emotionally, everything. But it didn't work. I was already leaving. That's when he came out with one last big attempt. He blocked the truck my friend was driving. He stood in front of it screaming, crying that he was going to puke. We both yelled at him to move. He said if I don't turn around right now, he's going to end himself. We both tensed. I honestly don't know what he's capable of, what weapon he's got, if he's going to hurt himself or us. We know inside a house he's got a gun. He's always messing with it and hiding it, and I currently didn't know where it was. So I'm beginning to panic and trying to discreetly reach my phone to call for police. That's when it happens. He lifts something to his wrist and says, "I'll do it. I'll slit my freaking wrist right here." In his hand, he's holding his electric razor. The kind with the round flexible trimmers at the top. I couldn't help it. I don't know if it was the adrenaline, but the sudden change up from rushing to leave and trying to get out, and then legit thinking someone was about to die, to suddenly seeing someone threaten to take their life with such a comical items, I busted out laughing. Yes, I understand that's insensitive if someone was really going to hurt themselves. Honestly, I don't think he ever was going to. It was a manipulation tactic. And if he was, he wouldn't have picked that. But it just came out. He got mad at us laughing. He just sulked away and we drove off. I honestly thought I was going to faint after that. Like the tension of all that to finally feeling safe. It was like my body excited to give out right then. Okay, so all that happened. We get to my new place, my friends come to help me unpack and get settled. I had told my friends what happened and how I laughed, and it was only then that he finally let us leave. They had some idea of how bad the relationship had gotten, but they're really upset at me now. They can't believe I would treat anyone going through that kind of mental state that way. They agree it's a dumb thing he did, but they think laughing at it was the worst thing I could do. They think if anyone threatened to do that in front of them, they'd be horrified, regardless of what item they picked up. It's hard for them to understand a roller coaster of reaction, the extreme terror and fear. It's not like I was being cold, it was a reaction in the moment. Now I feel like I've left that bad situation, and my reaction is now making my friends think I'm just as bad as him. I'm worrying I'm just as bad as him. I feel like I'm making excuses about it because of the situation, but the truth is that I'm not a good person. Am I the a-hole? If someone says they'll kill themselves if you leave them, that's your cue to run. Laughing was the best reaction. It let him know that you weren't going to let him manipulate you anymore. Not the a-hole OP. Glad you finally got out of there. Make sure you have security cameras in your new place. This. Not the a-hole. If someone had treated me like that, threatened to end themselves with something that couldn't actually do it, I'd laugh too. Not the a-hole. Your involuntary reaction was your body letting go of the fight or flight response, aka relief. Coupled with the ridiculous weapon he was waving around, I would have laughed too. He got mad because rather than kiss his butt, you laughed at him. Manipulators really hate it when they are called out or laughed at. He definitely has some mental issues going on. Yep, the laughing is what finally showed him she couldn't be manipulated anymore. As long as OP was arguing / trying to compromise, he felt he had power. When she literally laughed at him, he knew it was gone. He wasn't sad she didn't care about his self-harm attempt. He's sad she's not in his clutches anymore. Not the a-hole OP. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take my ex-girlfriend's 2 other children with me for Christmas? I, 40 male, have a daughter, Claire, 14 female, with my ex, Amy, 39 female. Amy and I broke up when Claire was born because she felt like we settled down too soon and felt shackled by our relationship and family. We have always shared 50-50 custody since. I got married to my now wife, Jane, 35 female, about 5 years ago. Amy went on to have 2 other kids with 2 different men who aren't involved with the kids. So she has full custody of her 2 other kids, then 50% of Claire. Her 2 youngest sons are 2 and 4. Claire doesn't love her living situation with her mom. The place is crowded, and her 2 younger brothers are just, well, toddlers. She says they don't leave her alone, and she gets no time alone there. So she prefers to stay with me more often now. She also gets along really well with my now wife and wants to spend a lot of time with her. Claire asked me if she could spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with me and Jane. Our regular schedule is that Claire spends Christmas Eve with one of us and Christmas Day with the other. Then we switch it around the next year. I told Claire that I can't give her an answer to that without discussing it with her mom. She asked her mom before I could discuss it with her, and Amy called to tell me it's okay, and that Claire can spend both days with me because she has her hands full anyway, and it would take some work off her plate. I'm excited to have both days with Claire, and so is Jane. Jane actually suggested we go somewhere, since we have both days to spend with Claire. So we planned a trip to a beach resort in another city. I called Amy to let her know and she said it's fine, but she called me back 2 days later, asking if there's any chance I can cancel the beach trip and do something in our city, and also include her son so that she can go and see her family this Christmas. She said her sons don't have passports, so she can't take them to another country with her to visit her family. But this is the only time she has to visit her family, because she always has to work. I said I barely know her kids, so it's going to be strange to just take them in and take care of them for however many days she's gone. I want to just relax with my wife and Claire, and taking care of 2 toddlers that I don't even personally know is not my idea of a good Christmas. That's so much pressure, and I haven't taken care of a toddler in about a decade. I also already told Claire about the beach trip, and she was so excited, so simply staying home isn't an option if it's not an emergency. I don't imagine she'll be too happy to have her brothers come along when she complains about being at her mom's house because of them either. I told Amy the reasons above, except that Claire doesn't like being around her brothers, and she said I'm doing this to punish her for leaving me, and that I could easily take care of her sons, but I'm being spiteful. I told her to stop being ridiculous. We broke up 14 years ago, and I've found a love of my life after that. There's no reason on earth for me to be spiteful. I said I really am sorry to decline her request, but I'd rather just be with my immediate family this Christmas. She said she didn't think I was the type to alienate children out of spite, and she's disappointed in the man I've become. This is the first time since our breakup that we had an argument or anything even close to it. She usually isn't like this, so while I think it's unreasonable of her to expect me to take care of her 2 sons while she's gone, I'm kind of worried I damaged our co-parenting relationship. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Don't cave in. Claire is your only child. Your ex's sons, poor toddlers, they really deserve better. Or not. Amy and I broke up when Claire was born because she felt we settled down too soon and felt shackled by our relationship and family. Basically, she dumped you because she wanted to have fun with other men and proceeded to have 2 children with 2 different baby daddies who unsurprisingly left her. And now after realizing how badly she messed up by dumping you, she wants to use you to make her life easier and have fun again. What a hypocrite of a woman. She made her bed, and now she should lay in it. Seeing her history, I'd also be concerned that she wouldn't return, at least for a while. I thought the same thing, that she would either be gone for way longer than agreed upon or she wouldn't return at all, especially if she plans on going out of their country. Not the a-hole OP and don't back down. Stand your ground. Not the a-hole. It sounds like Claire might move in with you full-time. I bet Claire would love to. I wonder how many diapers Claire has had to change. OP isn't alienating Claire from her mother. Her mother's behavior is alienating Claire. No wonder she wants to spend more time with OP. Last story. Am I the a-hole for asking my stepdaughter to ask her biological dad for help with her pregnancy bills? My stepdaughter, Claire, 24 female, had her wedding last year. We have had a strained relationship since she never took me dating her mother. However, I've always supported her in whatever way I could and considered her as my own daughter. I paid for everything throughout her life, including meeting all of the wedding expenses solo. She never valued that though. Her biological father has been absent for most of her life since she was a newborn, and yet she wanted him to walk her down the aisle. When my son asked her why she doesn't want me, she said, "I want to have my real father, and not someone who's not even related to me. At least mine never used to be like a bulldog." This was in reference to an illness I had, after which I suddenly gained a lot of weight, although I was normal after that. I was shocked, but did not argue, and I also did not decline to meet her expenses as I'd agreed to it. I attended a wedding and everything was fine after that. Until a few months later, when her husband died in a car crash and she was pregnant. She required help with money and turned to me for help. I refused and said, "Ask your biological dad for this. I'm just a bulldog. What can I do?" She got mad and said I'm holding that over her. But I said nothing and asked her to leave my house. My wife's mad at me for that and saying that I should be considerate. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She didn't make a simple mistake. She directly insulted you and said you're not even related to her. Why would someone unrelated go out of his way to help her? She doesn't get to complain that you're holding anything she did over her when she's never even tried to apologize for it. Tell your wife that if you're shown consideration, you'll give consideration, but you're not going to be abused and pay for the privilege. She thought she could be rude to and insult OP forever and keep using him as an ATM. She was wrong. We're not talking about a 5-year-old whose parents have split and they're struggling with all their emotions. We're talking about a grown adult who was happy to take your money, whose bio dad has never been around, and who thinks they can treat you like a punching bag ATM combo. I'm sorry for her that her husband passed away, but that is neither your fault nor responsibility, especially given the way she has treated you. With the info provided, not the a-hole. People should get life insurance and do some estate planning when expecting a baby. Especially at his age, the premium would have been very small relative to the payout. Good grief. Not the a-hole. This is why you treat people with respect in the good times. Aside from the fact that it's the nice thing to do, you might need their help when things are bad.